right, I have the first tutorial that I've done for 2019. I feel so rusty, even though it hasn't been that long since I filmed, but anyways, I am back to making tutorials for you all, and I wanted to do something very fresh, very dewy, very new for 2019. I feel like 2018, it was all about the baking, the cooking, the contouring, all of that stuff, and I wanted to simplify it and have something that's very easy to do from day to day, that's very fresh and dewy. And I don't know if you all can see my skin to kind of pick up. I did just a very natural dewy finish. I didn't use hardly any powder at all, and I just wanted something different for this year. So this is the technique. So pull out your makeup goodies and let's get started on this foundation technique. So to start off this routine, I'm gonna put my base down, and this is all very important, like what kind of primer that you put down. I did pin my hair back for you guys. I hope you appreciate the level of sexiness that I'm bringing to the table right now. So I'm gonna use the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Base. I really like this one. If you just have combination skin and you just want some extra hydration, I really recommend putting this under your foundation. If you have dry skin, I really recommend putting a face oil down. I like this one from Boots. It's really inexpensive. It's a facial oil, so either one, just prime your face with something. So I'm going to take the Bobbi Brown and a beauty blender. I'm picking up just a little bit of that cream on there, and what I'm going to do is, my forehead especially gets really, really dry. I'm not sure why. So I put a little bit there, and then what's left I kind of put around the edge of my face, but I'm going to show you, we're going to do a reverse technique today with powder. One of the myths is that you cannot put powder down first under creams. You can, it's just a matter of what kind of powder and how you apply it. So if you notice the center of my face, that's where we tend to get oily. If you guys have oily skin, skip that first base step, just go with the powder instead. But regardless, if you feel like you're getting oily throughout the day in the center of the face, put a little bit of powder down. I'm using the DERMABLEND, the fixing powder. It's super finely milled, and so I feel like it doesn't cake up underneath your foundation. You're gonna whip that beauty blender around on the back side. It's still a little bit wet and damp, so that's why this is going to work, because it's not really super dry powder. Do you see how much I put on there? And I kind of wipe off any excess because I want just a little bit of powder, and all I'm going to do is literally press it around my nose and my chin, because that's where I tend to get a little bit oily. And I'm going to put a little bit on my eyelids too, just because my eyelids can get a little oily. So that is your face prep. I want a little bit of powder in the center of my face, around the edges where it can look thick and cakey. That's where you're going to put some sort of moisturizer. Okay, now it's time for the foundation. I've used this before, so the foundation I'm using is the same as the DERMABLEND one. I like this formula because it's very hydrating, it's highly pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way. The color I'm wearing is 25N, and what I do is because this packaging sucks. DERMABLEND, I love you, but you've got to change this packaging. It's horrible. It has a dropper, but the dropper doesn't work, so I always have to like pull it out and scrape off the side on the back of my hand. So anyways, I am going to take, this is the Japanesque brush. It's just a buffer brush of some sort. You want something that's a little bit dense, and I'm going to take a bit of this and buff it all around the skin. Now, if you guys noticed, do you see how I can go right over that powder? I'm able to do that because the powder already soaked into the oils of my skin, and it blends right in. So as long as you're using a thin layer of powder and you're only putting in your oily spots, it should be just fine. I'm just buffing this foundation in. Now, one step I was going to tell you, if you have a thicker foundation, what you can do, because this formula is so thin, if you have a thicker one, like what is the one everyone loves right now, like the Born This Way or the Too Faced one, there's several foundations that can be a little bit thick. If you feel it's like that and you want a dewy finish to it, all you have to do is mix in some sort of kind of highlighter. I really like the Charlotte Tilbury one. If you mix this in with your foundation and kind of thin it down, or you can even add just a little bit of face oil to it. The goal is to thin it down and give it a dewy finish. So any foundation you have, matte, satin, whatever, if you want it to be dewy, add a little bit of oil or a creamy highlighter, it'll automatically change the texture. So now that my foundation's done, I'm actually going to prime my lips as well as I finish the rest of my face. I should have done this first and I forgot because I haven't had enough coffee today. But you can take that same face oil and put just a little bit on your lips. I love using oils on the lips as a moisturizer because it's so incredibly hydrating. I feel like chapsticks, I don't know, they don't soak into the skin as much as oils. So I like putting a little bit on there. Blend it in, kind of pat off the rest, and then just let it sit as you do the rest of your makeup, so that way when it comes time to put your lips on, your lipstick on, it's already hydrated, ready to go. Okay, now comes the kind of warming up the face. When you put foundation on, it flattens everything out, so you have to add dimension back in, so that's where contouring comes in. But if you use powder, it's not gonna give you that really fresh, dewy look that I'm going for, so I like to use a cream one. You guys know I've been obsessed with this for a while. It's the Fenty Beauty one. It's their matchstick. This is the color Mocha. So what I'm gonna do is use this cream formula. Any brand will do, just find something that's creamy, that's, you know, good 3-4 shades darker than your skin. And I'm gonna find that cheekbone and apply it right under there, kind of in a diagonal thing like that. I know it looks cray-cray right now. Give me a minute, let me blend it out. I'm gonna put a little bit on my forehead, because my forehead's a little bit bigger. If you have a smaller forehead, skip that part. Okay, we're going to take that same foundation brush, wipe it off on a towel, and we can use this to blend in the contour. And do you see how I'm kind of buffing it like that? I'm just doing small circle motions. So just get it started right there. And it gives a very natural contour. Do you see how I'm blending it up? So I did kind of circle motions, buff it upwards. You don't want to buff down because you're gonna get a beard. I mean, if that's the look you're going for. If you want a beard, that's how you do it. So I'm gonna buff out the forehead, and it just gives you a very subtle dimension. And I'm gonna get that chin that's been barking for since I turned 30. That double chin is woof, woof, woof. It is barking. So let's get that. Put that under there. And I'm gonna chisel out under that jawline as well. And that's it. Now it's time for the blush part. I want to keep this very creamy, very dewy. For whatever reason, no brands are selling cream blushes right now, which is so frustrating. So what I've been doing is actually using lipsticks. I'm using the Makeup Geek lipstick in the color Naive. It's a really pretty peachy color. Let me swatch it for you just so you can see. So this will work for most skin types because I'm just looking for a little bit of dewiness and warmth. So all I'm going to do is take my fingers, take a couple middle fingers here. I'm not gonna flip you guys off. Kind of rub them together. And what I'm gonna do is just dab it on the apples of my cheeks to add even more dewiness on there and a little bit of color. Let me apply a little bit more just so you can see that color. There we go. Now, I did forget to mention this step for you all. If you feel like you have dark circles on your eyes or you need just a little bit more coverage under there, you can apply a concealer. And this step is very like, you know, Instagram type makeup, but the difference is I'm gonna use a lighter type of concealer. I really like the Laura Mercier one. I feel like it's not as thick as some of the other ones on the market. This is their Flawless Fusion one. And so I got the shade 1N. It's obviously much lighter than my skin tone. I'm doing this just to brighten and highlight the area. And what I'm doing is just taking a really soft kind of dome brush like this, and we're just gonna feather it out. Again, keeping it super creamy. So we don't want it to be too thick. So we're just doing a very light layer. But do you guys see how that kind of highlighted the face, but we're not doing any baking. We're not doing any powder. We're trying to accomplish this all with creams. So buff that out. Take that brush, wipe it off really well. This is where the only place I feel like you can apply a little bit of powder. Use this one, something that's super, super fine milled. So I really like this DERMA one. Take that same brush and just get as much off the brush as you can. You want the smallest amount of powder possible. I know it looks like a lot of powder because it's going all over the place, but just put a little bit under here to set it. Put a little bit on your lids. And that's it. That's all the powder you need. We're not even going to put any in the T-zone because we already set it beforehand before we put our foundation down. Okay, now comes the highlighter. I said I love the Charlotte Tilbury one. I think it's my favorite one, the Flawless Filter. So what I'm going to do is use a little bit of that. And this is the color number 3, light medium. I think there's 3 different colors that she has. So put some of that on the back of your hand. And we can either take a brush, like this cheek highlighter brush from Makeup Geek. I'm going to use some of that, swirl it into the brush, kind of get it all into the bristles, And I'm just going to highlight the top of the cheekbones just like that. It's going to give a subtle glow. You can put a little bit, you can dab some on the center of your forehead, down your nose, a little bit on your chin, above your lip, anywhere where you want it to be just a subtle glow and a nice little highlight. Do you see the skin there with that? It's not a shimmer, it's not a sheen, it's just a nice dewy effect to the skin. So that is pretty much it for the foundation. I know I have to fill in my brows and all of that, but I just wanted to show you guys something easy. It's not very time consuming, but do you see how fresh and dewy my foundation looks? It looks very natural. And then if you feel like throughout the day your oil is gonna break down stuff, you can always bring like a pressed compact, like the one I have and love. Okay, there we go. The Charlotte Tilbury Airless Finish one. And what I do is I just have a little sponge in there and I keep it throughout the day. If I get oily later on, just put a little bit on the center of your face right there. And that's all you need. So hopefully that helps you with your foundation routine for 2019. Nice and fresh and dewy. No baking, no cooking, no powder. Just very fresh and natural. So thanks you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click on the little bell above to make sure you get notified when I have more content coming for you. So have a great new year, you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.